Well, here's the thing. It's the end of February already. It's going so fast. What's going on? The good thing is that the weather is on the up. It's definitely a bit warmer. Day temperatures are now roughly between about 10 and 12 degrees, which makes everything a lot more bearable. I'm down to 2 jumpers at the moment, and on the 12th of this month I switched my boiler off at the wall because with my thermostat set to 13 degrees my heating isn't coming on, so I don't need my boiler sitting there eating electricity when I'm not using it. I don't use the hot water anyway because it's a massive waste for the amount of water I need. So the boiler's off. Normally I would switch it off. It would tend to be the end of March because March can be a really tough month. So I may end up putting it on again if we get another cold snap. I'm not just going to put up with it being off if it's too cold. Got quite a lot to talk about today. So I'm going to run through a list of my outgoings, talk about some of the problems that we're going to face the next few months. You know, we're approaching the end of the tax year, and that's when companies start thinking about their bills. We've got energy going up again in April. There are calls to extend the cap lock, and then whether that will happen is another matter. Hopefully my energy will now come down because the heating's off. That's the thing, that's the real killer. There's talks of the water bills going up 7.5%. I've worked out that based on how much I spend on water, it's not going to make a huge difference for me. It's going to be about £16 a year, something like that. So I'm not worried about that one. Council tax, I think it looks like most councils are going to be on a 5% rise. That is going to make a difference, and there's nothing you can do about that one. There's nothing you can cut back on that will stop that payment coming out. We're on a payment break at the moment because here in the UK, council tax tends to run on a 10 monthly basis, so you'll get your yearly bill divided into 10, and then February and March you don't pay, and that's when they're sorting out their getting ready for their new tax year. So I would imagine that my bill for the next year will come through in March, and then I will know how much things are going to cost, how much my direct debit will be. So that brings my monthly bills down a little bit because I'm not paying my council tax for 2 months, so this month and March, which is a saving of £99 a month. I am on the tax band A, which is the cheapest tax band for council tax, and I get a 25% discount because I'm living on my own. So my bill, I think a year, is about £892 for me for council tax. So I'm enjoying the 2 months break from that, and I'm not putting the money into anything else. I'm just enjoying the fact I don't have to spend it. So I've got quite a list of things to go through, and I'm also going to look at my spreadsheets and total down on things, so I will be kind of moving around a bit. I've also got a couple of things to show you to do with discretionary spending. I had a blowout this month, which means I spent about, I don't know, I think about £25 in total on 2 things, which I will explain later, and there are little compilations of me buying those things and using those things later on, which will break things up a little bit. But for now, I'm going to go over to my laptop and I'm going to talk to you about what my bills have been like this month, particularly with energy, and then talk about the things that I have made money on, because I have my business income, and I have my interest on banking. Interest rates have been climbing a little bit. It's not staggering, but it definitely makes a difference to incomes. And also there's my survey income, and every little helps. It all kind of comes together. So we should look at that, and we should also look at food bills. Pretty much an average this month. I'm using a lot more of my stocks. There's less in the shops this month, particularly with the fresh veg. Yellow stickers are not looking very good at the moment, which is why I overbuy when I see more in the shops, and I freeze veg in the freezer because you never know when you're going to need it. And I've been using up some of those stocks lately. So, which, that's what it's there for. So let's go over to the laptop now. Okay, so I have already rambled on quite a lot. I can tell I did a watch back of that last bit, and I think I've probably said quite a lot of what I was going to say here. So I'm going to keep this very short. My outgoings on standard bills this month. That's my mobile phone. That's my service and MOT package with Peugeot. That's my water rates. That's my energy. And my rent. Those are my standard utilities. I don't have anything else. This month has come to £640.61. Obviously I'm not paying council tax at the moment. That will kick back in a couple of months. And my other outgoings, which are food, my discretionary income section, and any petrol I've used, that varies. So I haven't really spent much on those, but I've already mentioned about the discretionary income and the two things that I've bought, so I'm going to run through that now. Okay, so today I'm doing something a bit different. It's rather exciting and a little bit not nerve-wracking. I've thought about it. I'm going to spend some money that isn't on food or bills I can't avoid. It's a miracle. They are both things that I've needed for, or not needed, wanted for a long time. They are both storage solutions. One of them is something I've been after for a good couple of years. I've tried to get it second hand. I've tried to get it cheaper. And now a local shop to me has suddenly started stocking them. I was in the shop yesterday and I saw them and I was like, I need this thing. So I came home and I thought about it. I checked the measurements to make sure that it was going to be big enough. And I'm now going to go back and buy it, and hopefully it's still on the shelf. The other thing, which I'm going to do later, is buying something to turn it into something else, which will solve if it's correct, will solve a very long-standing storage problem that I've had in my studio. So one is a personal purchase and one is for business. I am doing this thing because I've been inspired by watching an Instagram reel, creative life hack. And if it's correct, it's going to be brilliant, and I'm very excited about it. But it does involve me going to a shop that I had one experience of probably about 6 years ago now, and swore I'd never go back again, and that's IKEA. I don't like the layout. I got lost and I hated it, although the item I bought is still very good and I still use. But I'm not an IKEA fan. However, this is the place to go for this thing that I need. I can get it elsewhere. I've seen it on eBay, but not surprisingly, it's about 3 times the price. And it's not an expensive item, but I need lots of them. Anyway, so that will all make sense later. So I'm going to go and buy my first thing now. And I shall check back in a bit. I love storage. It comes from living in a stupid flat with no storage space, so I get creative. I've been after one of these for about 2 years now. And finally, I seem to have found one. So I'm now going to set it up, and hopefully it'll fit. And here it is. It would have been quicker to make if I'd actually followed the instructions, but I am a shocker for following instructions. And I made one little mistake and had to reverse the shelves. Anyway, that's my fault. This is a great little thing. You don't need any tools, it all slots together. And I think I'm going to get quite a lot in there, actually. I haven't decided whether to use it to store some of my stashes in my stockpile, or to leave those in boxes, or just to use it to clear some of my surfaces. This is my drinks stash. I don't have this in bottles, in boxes. This is all the mostly free alcohol that I've managed to get, or yellow sticker and free, that I've managed to get on cashback apps, and some of it is birthday and Christmas gifts as well. But it's valuable counter space, because as you can see, there is not a lot of counter space here. Anyway, so this place now looks an absolute tip, and I need to go and do something about that. But anyway, look at that. And that just costs £15. The great thing is that I can flat pack it down if I need to move. It'll go on any door. What I really like about this is the hooks that are over the door fit my doors. I have fire doors here, which is really annoying because they're extra thick. So these will fit doors that are 4.5 centimetres thick, which is what these are. So instead of having to go and buy extra hooks that are extra wide, as I've had to do with some other things, this goes straight on. Brilliant, perfect, done. Okay, so I'm now in the car. I'm off to IKEA to have a look at this second project. I last went to IKEA about 6 or 7 years ago, I think I've already mentioned, and I didn't like it. It's not my kind of shop anyway, but I needed something particular. I didn't like the way that you had to follow a route all the way through the store. It's a sensory overload for impulse buyers, and I don't doubt that's how they make a lot of their money. So when you're going in there and you know you just want that one thing, and you have to do the entire shop to get to it, that really frustrates me. I know that there's those shortcut doors, but they were very confusing, and I ended up spending even more time trying to get out. Anyway, so I'm going to drive to IKEA because it's not too far away for me to walk it. I'm going to see if I can get this thing that I need. I need to see it. I need to look at the measurements of it to see if it's actually going to do the job that I want it to do. So yeah, let's head off to IKEA. This is a bit of a dark one. Give me a moment. I'm in an IKEA car park, and it's the indoor car park, so the lighting is not very good. I eventually found what I wanted. I found it on display, and then had to ask someone for help because I couldn't find the item. And it was 2 departments on. 3 bedrooms, hidden behind wardrobes for some strange reason. Kitchenware. Kitchenware is what I wanted. I just need to sit here and calm down for a minute. I don't know how people enjoy shopping in IKEA. It's just so stressful. I find it incredibly claustrophobic. I hate having to follow the arrows. You always get stuck behind a couple with 2 buggies side by side, so you can't get past. And the signage that's supposed to help you, say for instance, then get to the exit once you've found your thing, isn't that easy to follow. There are shortcut doors, but sometimes they don't seem to take you where you're supposed to be. I hate it so much. I can feel the stress levels in me. I don't like being forced to buy things, and the way IKEA is laid out is designed to catch your eye and make you want to impulse buy. And you see people's trolleys piled up with all kinds of weird tat. You know, they've gone in for a couple of things they did want, and they come up with extras, including bags of sweets and God knows what else. And there's the aisles where you pay are all, it's like a snake, so it just goes all the way round, all barriered off, and every single section is full of other stuff to make you buy stuff, and it's just bonkers. Anyway, the lighting on this is shocking. I'm going to go home now because, oh my god, nightmare. Anyway, I'm pleased I'm out of there. Thank God for that. Not surprisingly, I've spent more on energy this month. My last bill, which was the 11th of January, was £49.26. Now, I was away for 2 weeks, so that's only 2 weeks of energy. But a lot of the things that eat energy where I live tend to be things that are on all the time. So I've got the fridge, the 2 little freezers, and I left a night light on this time. So it kind of ticks away like that, and I'm not using... I have used more gas while I've been here because we had that horrific cold snap, but things have been better since. So I had my bill through on the 11th of February. We're still getting the government help, so that's an extra £67 into the account, which means that my direct debit for my energy supplier, which is £35.93, was direct debited back to me. As I say, I've used more energy, but it wasn't a substantial amount. I thought I was going to be paying double what I paid in January, and it was going to cost me about £100, but it's only come to £58.83. I've used Don't know how this has happened. Slightly less gas. I think that demonstrates just what a big difference it makes when you don't put your heating on. So the weather's been much milder. In fact, I switched my boiler off at the wall on the 12th of February, and I haven't needed it. It was sitting there just guzzling electric, waiting for potentially the thermostat to dip below 13, and it hasn't, so I switched off at the wall. I'm not wasting that money. I have used more electric because obviously I'm here, so I'm using, you know, like the TV, plug-in, the laptop, the phone, that sort of thing, but it's not been as bad as I thought, which bodes well because from now on my bills will go down because I still have the boiler off. Lights in the evening are going on later because the nights are drawing out. And I'm using slightly less gas because I'm not needing as many hot drinks as I was, and I'm not having to boil the kettle for my hot water bottle quite as much. So we're now on a downward trajectory. However, of course, in April, energy bills are going up again. So I can but hope. And of course, the funding that goes towards your energy bill ends in March, so I have one more payment of £67 to come in. Now, although my energy supplier does include, you know, like a running total of what I've got in there with them in credit and what have you, I do my spreadsheet for the year, and I do approximations for how much money I think I will spend on energy based on the time of year and what's coming in via direct debits. So I can already see roughly, give or take, because obviously we have increases coming in April and probably again after that, I can see roughly how much in credit I'm going to be by the end of the year. So I'll be able to tell if they're likely to increase my direct debit. They probably will, but it depends on so many factors. So at the moment we are steady. We are still paying £35.93 a month for energy in our direct debits, and we are still holding on to a reasonably healthy credit with my supplier. So that's one less thing to worry about. For me, February is the beginning of big bill season. All my main one-off payments for the year, for things that I don't pay for on a monthly basis, come out between February and April. It's just like everything happens at once. The first thing that happens is car insurance, which is due right at the beginning of February. I had my renewal notice back in January, and they've put my insurance down. It's only £16, but it was still a lot better than all the other competition because I did check it. So this year I have paid £241.60 for my car insurance. That is comprehensive. That pretty much covers me for everything. I have separate breakdown cover which will come out later in the year, so I'm not going to worry about that too much at the moment. But that is my major bill for the year. Now, last April, I took out my first credit card in years. I finally managed to get one, and I did that because I have an account with one of the credit score providers, ClearScore, and every so often they'll give you offers on things for credit builders, and that's really what I wanted. And I wanted to have something that I would always pay off every month. I'm never going to get into the habit of only paying the minimum and paying interest, but I wanted to have something that was a backup. I meant that I could kind of seesaw money in my other accounts so that I could earn more interest and keep money in savings. So I took out this a credit builder credit card, and they gave me a credit rating of just under £1,000. That's great, that's emergency money. If something suddenly happened and I needed £500, the card is there, that's fine, and that doesn't stop you paying it off at the end of the month. Towards the end of, probably about the middle of last year, they decided they were going to increase my, my limit. I don't know why, because I rarely spend more than £400 a month tops on the card, but they decided that I needed to have more credit, so it went up to about £1,600. And already this year I've had another message from them saying, we've looked at your spending behaviour, and we think you need a higher credit rate, and I don't understand that. So they've now put it up to something like £2,500, and I guess this is to try and lull me into a false sense of security. That if they give me all this money, then I'll go and spend it, and then I'll get caught in the interest trap and they'll make their money off me. Because at the moment, they're not making a penny off of me because I pay it off every month. Now, I'm not going to spend that. You've got no chance. I'm going to keep using it as I always have done, just for my daily payments, and then at the end of the month, when it comes to paying, I pay the whole thing off. But it's quite nice to have that emergency chunk there. It means that because I take that card with me wherever I go, whatever I'm doing, if something happens, I can pay for something. If there's an emergency, like, I don't know, maybe I break down somewhere and I can't get any help, but there's a B&B down the road, or something like that. Anything like that is covered. So whilst I'm kind of grateful to have all that money to hand, it's of no real use to me, except as a buffer zone. Anyway, so I have that. So I will be paying for all my major bills on that as usual. So that's the first of my big bills for the year. That's all been paid in one go. I don't pay monthly on things like insurance because there's interest added and you end up paying more. And because of the way I seesaw my money, I can afford to pay that off in one go, and then deal with the balance afterwards. So that's that dealt with. I almost forgot to add, I also paid my car tax this month. I have a little car, it's not new, but I pay £20 a year for my car tax. It's because it's a small hatchback, it's a 1 litre engine, comes in just under a litre. £20 a year for car tax. I'm not going to argue with that one. Okay, it's time to talk about my food spend, my grocery spend for February. I have done better this month than I thought I was going to. So I try to keep to a £20-ish budget a month. Last month I spent about £23. This month I've spent a grand total of £17.67. That's the actual physical spend. Now, as I've said before, this is a combination of different things that I use to make sure that I stay within my budget. So if I had bought everything that I bought this month on its full shelf price, I would have spent £84.25. I have saved £40.55 on yellow sticker discounts. I have also had back from cashback apps £14.90. Now, some of my spend will be from loyalty points because I earn Nectar points by doing some of my surveys. And for that I have made £8.78 in Nectar points on survey sites this month. So I earn the points, they get uploaded directly to my Nectar card, and then when I go shopping in Sainsbury's, I will try and use just Nectar points for shopping. But of course, because when you spend Nectar points, you spend in 500 point blocks. 500 Nectar points is £2.50. So you need to spend in blocks of £2.50. So invariably I might end up spending 20p on my card because I was slightly over, but I try to balance it, and I work it out when I go to the shop with my calculator to make sure that I'm getting at least the bulk of my shop on points. And I also try to get things from cashback apps when I go points hunting, so that I'm also making Nectar points back in cash that go straight back into my bank account, because that helps me to earn money. So it's not been too bad a month. I have shopped less this month for definite. Last month I spent what would have been a shop price of £139.50. As I say, this month it's been £84.25. I have taken a step back. There's been less in the shops. The yellow sticker deals are not like the deals of last year, and that's because with prices going up, the price of the yellow stickers also goes up, because yellow sticker discounts are only a percentage of the full price. So, for instance, whereas before, when you were buying milk, for instance, you might get a 4 pint or a 2 pint for 56p. Now those 2 pints are £1.23, which is more than you used to pay for 2 pints of milk. But when you look at the full price of the milk, it's, a whole third or a half again on top of that. So I'm trying to stick to last year's yellow sticker prices, and if you hold out, you can do okay at that. I've included a couple of bits here which will give you an idea that if you hang fire, you can get whole packets of carrots or parsnips for 10p. You can get potatoes for, a big bag of potatoes for 50-60p. But you have to be able to have that breathing space, and that's why when I see these things, I buy what I can, I freeze the veg, and that way the next time I go into the shops, and let's say there's nothing for a couple of weeks, I've got stuff in the freezer. I don't need to feel pushed into that corner. But it is getting harder. I need to be really savvy with earning the loyalty points, with shopping around for the deals, and just taking my time. It's work. It does take work, but it means this month I've spent £17.67, and of course, because I keep my food details on a spreadsheet, I roll on loads of stuff, so I stockpile food. So even if I spent, so that's £17.67 I spent this month, a lot of that will actually have been rolled over. So I've physically eaten £7.67 of food, but a lot of the food I bought this month would have been put in the freezer or put in the cupboard and will roll on to next month or the month after that or the month after that. So I do a literal, what packet did I open this month, and therefore I have actually spent that money. So that's how I work it out. But it all works out the same in the end. So yeah, £17.67 on food this month. That's a good one. Now let's move on to the next thing. Okay, it's time to talk about income streams. Firstly, I'm going to talk about bank interest, because interest rates have been going up incrementally for savers. A few of mine have improved, particularly Lloyds have started offering a better rate on their balance of 5,000 on their Club Lloyds account. Tandem's put their interest up to 3.05, and all this does actually make a difference. One of my big interest payments this month has been my Help to Save account. When you are on certain kinds of benefits, you are eligible for a 4-year Help to Save account, which is designed to encourage people on low incomes to save. And I've reached the end of my 4 years, sadly, so I've had my final payout. Now, the way the account works, and they are still open for you to join, so if you are eligible, I really suggest you do this if you can. You put in up to £50 a month, and the interest per month is 50% of that money that goes in. So for every £50 that I put in every month over the 4 years, I get £25 interest. And then at the end of the first 2 years, they give you back the money and you start again from scratch, and then you do it again for the second 2 years. You can only have the account for 4 years, and once you've had it, you can't have it again. So I've had my final payout. That's the end of that. and I got my £600 interest, and all that has been reinvested back into other accounts. I had some interest improvements on, say for instance, I had the Lloyd's account, which is now offering 3% on £5,000. Atom has several decent-ish accounts. It's got there's a 1 year fixed which has 4.25. There's another one that I opened last year which closes in April, and that's 3.55. And I've got another one which is 2.91, and that's like a regular saver. So interest has been probably one of my better incomes this year, and I literally every spare penny goes into whatever easy access account I have open or I can get my hands on, because it really does make a difference. Income from my Etsy shops has been a little bit hit and miss throughout this year so far. It's only 2 months. We've had lots of problems with Royal Mail. It took them over a month to sort out the cyber attack, and being unable to send parcels abroad has been a real problem. And I've noticed shop traffic or sales, because although I would say most of my sales do come from the UK, the ones that I get from overseas tend to be higher value, and I haven't had those sales because obviously the Royal Mail problem meant that selling overseas or sending anything overseas was pretty much impossible for most of the last 2 months. They finally got the click and collect, the online payments back up and running, and then about a week or two later, I think, they're finally back to normal. But it's had a huge effect. Not so much on people like me. It's not been absolutely detrimental, but I know that some other shops have had, serious problems where they rely on their overseas sales. And it's another good reason for cultivating your reshored customer base, selling in your own country. But it's hard. It's there's a lot of competition out there. Selling online isn't easy, and it also depends on what you're selling. Everything I sell is one of a kind. Everything is handmade. Everything is based on me sitting in my studio making something, and that depends hugely on me as a creative person. I create when I want to. I'm not a factory. I do this because I enjoy it, and if it becomes a chore, if creativity becomes a chore, and I'm making things purely for the money in the bank, then I will switch off from it. So that's why I have the other income streams, is because my business was my road out of full-time working. I just wanted to get out of working in offices. It was awful, and it was my road out. But I do need the other income streams to help tip the balance on that. It's one of, several ways I make my money. So it's been a little bit down this year, which is no surprise. Beginning of the year is also always difficult. January is also always difficult because people have overspent at Christmas, and January is a long month till payday, so you never expect January to be a great month. And we have so many challenges at the moment with cost of living crisis, energy price rises. People are prioritising other ways, including me. I don't blame them. That's just the way it is. So Etsy income hasn't been amazing, but every little helps, and we just keep things ticking over. Okay, I'm on the last section of my income, and it's been another slow month in some ways, so I'm going to talk about my survey income. I aim to make state of my hair. I aim to make 120 a month from taking surveys online. The reality of this month for me is that I have cashed in only £85. However, I have completed 3 market survey research tasks, which have netted me £88, including expenses back from the one that I did in Manchester the other day. But none of those have paid out yet. Now, sometimes market surveys are pretty quick and you might get your money in a week. As a rule, 2 weeks to 30 days is no surprise, and yes, I'm not surprised by that. So theoretically, I've earned about 170 this month, but I haven't quite had that money yet. It's all swings and roundabouts, because that means it'll go into next month. And of course, I have lots of money banked up in survey accounts where I have to earn a certain amount before I can cash out. I've got another £65 waiting for me to hit some of those limits so I can cash out, and I would say at least one of those will cash out next month, so that's good. So this month hasn't been as great, but that's purely because I haven't cashed out on the other work that I have done that would have gone into that survey pot for this month. A couple of my survey sites are a bit slow at the moment. Branded Surveys, which I've been with for quite a while, is really starting to lose its edge. I haven't cashed out at all on them this month, and that's unusual. In the past, I would have cashed out at least twice a month. Last month, I think I only cashed out once. This month, I haven't hit the £5 limit at all. It's just a bit rubbish. The other ones which are a bit slow, let's have a look. eRewards, which also gives me Nectar points, along with the Canvas site, which gives me Nectar points. Canvas site's done really well again this month, so I'm getting lots of points on my Sainsbury's. But eRewards, I haven't hit the £5 limit to cash out this month, and I think that one's starting to lose its edge. One of my other sites is closing next month. That's Huyu, Huyu. This is one of the one. It's like Shopix, so you take photographs of your receipts. They're closing out their website at the end of March, and I've got to get to my 500 points so I can cash out. I'm on about 460 points at the moment. So that means I've got to get about 10 receipts by the 25th of March before they close out, because I want my money. So I've got to focus on making sure I get enough receipts in for that. And that's about it, really. As I say, a slow month, but it'll appear in next month when those market surveys have cashed out. And I feel like that's maybe picking up now because I'm applying to lots and lots of those at the moment. So we'll see how that goes. So income wise, how have I done? I did write down what I've actually made. I've actually made more than I've spent this month, which is rare for me. Normally I would be a bit short and I would dip into my savings to cover my shortfalls, because nothing is predictable when you work for yourself. So I made just over £1,000, about 1,100 this month, and my total outgoings have been £984 all in. That's everything, and it's a bit higher than usual because obviously I had my car insurance. I bought a couple of things I wouldn't normally buy with my discretionary income, but again, it swings and roundabouts. You know those things are coming, like the insurances. Bills are low at the moment, as I said, because I don't have council tax at the moment. Banking interest is up, so that's why I've done well on that front this month. It comes in, it goes out. It's money, you know. There's nothing amazing here. It just is what it is. But that's the end of my end of February roundup. It's been a long one this month, but really because I've added in that stuff from IKEA and Wilko with those 2 things I bought which I wouldn't normally buy. And I just wanted to add something a bit different rather than me just speaking at the camera with loads of money based stuff. So I hope that's been useful, hope it's been interesting. Any comments or questions about any ways I make my money, or how I save money, or how I cut bills and anything, do drop your comments below and I'll be happy to answer those questions. So thank you for bearing with this very long update. I've had to do it in lots of different sections because things have accumulated over the course of the month, and I've wanted to put everything into one vlog update, and Tuesday is designed to be my longest one of the month, so these ones could be anything up to an hour. So I hope you've enjoyed it. As I say, comments below, click like. See you again soon.